DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello everybody and welcome to the DeFi Kingdoms AMA. First and foremost, appreciate everybody who is tuning in live as well as everybody who watches this video later. Thank you much as always for joining us. We are going to hit some updates and then we will be going into some questions. As a quick reminder, if your question is Hubert specific, it is being tracked and put on hold, but we will get to them when he rejoins us, which I think last week I said I thought was this week, but I was wrong. But I do believe it is next week for us to see the return of the Hubert. That said, there are a couple of questions that were submitted that were combat related, and we do have Workhorse this week. So we're going to circle back to some of those. But before we dive into questions, we do have some updates to give. Unfortunately, I am going to start us off on a very somber note, which I am sad to say. But I think at least many, if not all of you, know who Starbuck is, one of the founders of the Mythic Squad. Unfortunately, he had kind of a series of very unfortunate events. He had a family member pass away and then got back home, and the night before last had a house fire that was a total loss of his home. Thankfully, himself and his family got out. They are okay, but they have, in essence, lost all of their belongings, which is absolutely tragic. Just like I don't even have words for it. So very, very sad to hear this. Very, very sorry for Starbuck and his family. Our thoughts go out to you, and we wish you the absolute best. And we're here for anything that you need and anything we can do for you. On that note, a GoFundMe has been started to help get him and his family through this time. And that GoFundMe is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. I know it's also gone out on Twitter and in Discord in a couple places. If you're, able to and so inclined to help, I know his family would appreciate it. If you do have any questions or anything, the easiest thing, to be honest, would be to hop in the Mythic Squad server. I think they are the most up to date on the situation. But just really wishing you all the best, Starbuck, and very sorry to hear it. It's a sad thing. So like I said, if you have any questions or anything, if you have any, if you're, looking for different ways to help, hop in the Mythic Squad server. I think they're the most up to date on everything and can help get you informed and up to speed. So moving past that, into some DFK updates. We did have a release last night, and some things went live. And I'm going to show a real quick video, and then we'll go over to Beetledude to talk about that release. Beetledude. You want to talk about Seer?
I'd love to, and then I think maybe I'll pass it over to Mr. Workhorse because he's got the juice on what the Seer is all about. But yeah, as Bolin said in the trailer, I guess showed as well, we got Seer out yesterday, which I am super excited about. This is our 5th class that we've gotten out. Hopefully people are enjoying the kind of new animations and effects that came along with Seer. I know I really like the floating one. That's pretty cool to me. It was a super fun class to work on, and I just love the overall design is super cool. My first mythic hero was Seer, so they have a soft spot in my heart, and I really enjoy the meta. I think it's really interesting class where you can essentially be support or go hard into debuffs or even go into more of a damage role. So it presents some interesting options, and hopefully people are getting to explore and figure out some fun metas between this class and the others. And that's just kind of, I guess, the excitement that comes along with the release of every new class. And I will say that we are going to be getting the next class into testing this week and early next week. So usually that puts, I won't say an exact time frame, but we're getting closer. So excited to be progressing that as well, and hopefully we can get that out in a short enough time that it'll feel like they're both very fresh in our minds. And so, yeah, excited to be making progress there. And I will kick it over to Workhorse if that's okay, and have him just talk maybe about his Seer inspirations. I don't know. It's a cool class. I love it.
Thanks, Beetle. So Seer, I think, actually represents like a pretty cool turning point in some of our design decisions when we first started going. I think most folks kind of knew what to expect initially with, like, knight, priest, warrior, and archer. They do the things that they are supposed to do, really. And so Seer was the first time that we really got to like dive into sort of some creative aspects and some design aspects that we were kind of always thinking of, but didn't have the right I sound so lame when I say these things, but the right like canvas to it was a fun class to make because it was so brand new. I really wanted to see the class flourish because as a fellow DGen player of the community, I was well aware that all y'all were fading Seer. It was a class that was seen as potentially not as cool as others. And I took this on definitely as a hold my beer moment. Hubert and I and Beetle and the gang definitely took strides to make it feel awesome. I think Sasha did a really amazing job of testing to make sure things felt impactful and meaningful. The class itself is really fun, especially if you take the time to like really get it. I would say this is the first class that we've seen so far in the game that we're like I don't want to call it skill ceiling, but like the possibilities are much higher in terms of level of difficulty. There's a lot of nuance. You have to really understand what your opponent is doing. Obviously, we are in a PvE environment right now, so that is, you can kind of telegraph and really understand what your opponent's doing because we're seeing these fights over and over again. But once we're in the PvP realm, Seer's going to really shine, I think. And so that's one aspect of the class, and I am particularly excited for. And yeah, there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thanks, Workhorse. And yeah, I think y'all did an awesome job on the mechanic side and the design side.
Shout out to SBD on the floaties also. I think that's the technical term.
It is now. Dreamer?
Can I add sense? I want to add sense. Yeah, so I saw something on Twitter. I can't remember who said it, but somebody was like in a grumpy message is like, just release Dread Knight, or why are you wasting time on all these basic classes or something? And, what we have to realize is every new thing we do, whether it's in gamification of DeFi or, what we're doing with bridging and blockchain and what we're doing with cosmetics, every time we come out with something, we really have to reassess, revalue, and take a look at like the new reality. That's temporary because it'll change again. The path to releasing the codex of like the most advanced classes and the most difficult classes to summon is meant to be a fun one of exploring each class one by one that has their own value in place. These aren't just like a filler like damage dealer that looks different, or a filler healer that looks different. If you are going to use the priest versus the seer today, there's usually going to be different pros and cons that will come out depending on like the overall goal of the battle. And that's the end goal of the game, is every single class in here is meant to have its own value. It'll be interesting when we get through all the basic classes, how the rarity of the higher classes, comes out in different ways. And I think that's up to the game committee to really find that balance there. But just responding to that comment on Twitter, I don't remember who it was actually, and it wasn't overly negative. I think people are just really excited for things to come out. And right now, this is a great example of the topic of Seer might have been a little bit undervalued because maybe it wasn't as sexy visually, or looking at the skills ahead of time, maybe it didn't see it. But I think what we're finding is every single class, even those, and maybe especially those that we're least excited about up front, that's where Workhorse and others are going to have their hold my beer moments. Look out for the community, look out for the game, and really like no class left behind mindset. There's a place for all of them to have something. If we look at other games with a lot of different heroes, like in the MOBA landscape, like League of Legends, I think does this pretty well, where most of the heroes, you go into a competitive match and you ban like 10 heroes. Removing 10 different heroes is a lot to remove, but it's because they really try to make it so that each one in its own way is kind of OP, depending on how you play it, who you're playing against, and so on. And so I'm really proud that people are coming to the conclusion that, like, wow, Seer is cooler than I thought it would be. It does things that I didn't expect. And hopefully, if we do our jobs right over time, every hero has that. There will be a little bit of like preference of what kind of damage, what kind of healing, what kind of tanking. But I think there will also be a subset of, this hero class has something that does something in a unique way that interacts with others in a unique way that others don't. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that to keep kind of revealing itself. And, some comps, people at one point were running, 3 archers, or all warriors, or 2 archers and a warrior. Maybe you have like a really damage heavy team where there's a couple battles where you just miss out. If you just had a little bit of healing, it would have helped. Or if you would have had a little bit advantage on timing, you would have made that sprint to X goal successfully. Maybe Seer is that class for you. If you're one that you're using priest and you're just like heavy heals, and at the end of it you're like, man, I really didn't need all that healing. I wish I had a little bit more damage just to get me there faster. Maybe it's a good class for you. Maybe it's a good combo with another hybrid like the warrior. And as others come out, we hope that people really have fun exploring all the different combos. When we move into PvP, this is gonna definitely change, because who you're up against and their composition will definitely affect this as well. So sorry to kind of beat the dead horse of this subject a little bit, but it's an exciting subject. And I hope that those here, all the hardcore kind of end game players of DeFi Kingdoms, see that vision and then support each class that comes out. And even if it's a class that you're like, I don't care about ABC class, hopefully, even if it isn't a like type of class you usually like, hopefully this is kind of creating that muscle memory of being like, when it comes out, I'm excited to figure it out. Whether or not it's going to be my favorite class or not, it's definitely going to add value and hopefully be fun.
No, greatly appreciate that for sure. And somebody already said it in chat, but no class left behind is a fantastic quote. On this topic, though, I feel like I got to pull this out of chat and hit Workhorse with it. How do you feel about the current fading that's happening with scholars?
Oh, there will be a reckoning. Absolutely. Scholars are awesome. You just don't know yet. Just it's all in there. You just gotta read the words in the codex, and then it'll come to you. You gotta study up just like a scholar would.
Very nice. I like it.
I'd say also read the words, but like when you hear the difference in style between Workhorse and Hubert, both of them have different levels of excitement and how they communicate things, but the passion and the attention to detail is there. And if anybody were to sit in a game committee or watch Hubert talking about this, or go over the testing and see, how long it takes, which in the moment it's like, oh man, it's taken a while. Bolon mentioned there was a few comments of, wow, this is why when things come out with DeFi Kingdoms, although it might take a little bit longer, I'm happy because it's just clean. It's awesome. So especially with Scholar, I have full confidence that we're going to rock the classes like that. And who knows? I think what we learned today is the more people fade a certain class, maybe we overcompensate a little bit. So if you really like a class, maybe talk some smack. So Workhorse loses some sleep and makes it awesome. Who knows?
Valid.
They're already trying. Dags is already in chat throwing shade at Ninja. For example,
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I heard a Dread Knight's going to be horrible.
Well, and the other thing too, like I'll just add, like read the words, look at the codex that we've put out. You know, all of the basic classes have a published codex. However, as you do that, also remember what you know, there's now 5 classes that are live. And keep in mind how that codex evolved from the time that we published the first like draft pre-alpha of it to its implementation, because we're going to continue to see that treatment. It's something that, you know, Workhorse and Hubert have continued to learn and continued to refine and continued to improve on those codexes. So as you're looking at the ones that are published but not yet implemented, you know, obviously there's warnings all over the place that it's all subject to change, because it's all subject to change. But you know, just you have at this point a sample size of how those codexes have changed, that I think can be very enlightening.
And I'll just maybe hedge a little bit. A lot of joking has happened here. People are like, "Is Scholar the next big thing?" I just say, like, if it was, we'd all be so nervous to talk about it that nobody would talk about it. And if somebody talked about it, none of us would jump on it. So don't get too
Yeah.
crazy with the analogy.
I feel like if anything, we confirm the opposite. That was just the one
Yeah.
mentioned in chat, so we used it. Yeah, good call though. You're 100% right. People would be reading into that right now. Let's see. Speaking of updates, Frisky Fox, you want to talk about Duels?
Right when I take a bite of my cereal.
Yes, I timed it perfectly. I knew.
All right. Had to swallow. Yeah, I am eating my lunch right now. Sorry. But yeah, Duels is getting really close. All of the tickets have been smacked back over to testing. And I'm feeling really good about it. The way that it works with this testing is, you know, if all goes well, it could be as soon as like tomorrow. If there's things that are still found, which Winston's really thorough, so I wouldn't be surprised, then it could be longer. So fingers crossed, but it's getting really close. I am getting ready to airdrop the crowns as soon as we get those with the thumbs up. And I'm excited about those. They look really cool. So watch out for those if you're one of the lucky winners, and stay tuned, because it could be anywhere between like a day and a week, you know? So yeah, thank you.
Shout out to Winston. Winston's a goat. He's so good at what he does, and tests everything, and is a large part of why our releases go so smoothly.
He is amazing. He's very thorough, and he gives screenshots and how to reproduce the issue, and I think he's personally sent me like 80 heroes that I need to return that he uses for testing. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, the way testing actually goes is it goes into testing, and then Winston just tears it all to the ground and finds out if he can rebuild it or not. And it's absolutely incredible to watch. All right, one last update, and then we will move into some questions. But we did have a new sponsored hunt raffle start as of last night, which means the first winners will be today. However you want to think of that is fine. But we have a new sponsor in the fray with Big Red and the TD token. We also have a Visage from them coming live tomorrow. So a couple things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sunbear and Dreamer if they want to talk about it at all. But with the hunt raffle in particular, this is the first time that we've done a hunt raffle for a token that is not on DFK Chain. So it does work a little bit differently, but essentially what will happen is the winners will get airdropped a representative token showing that they won. When they go to claim that token, it will actually burn the token and have them input the OX address that they want the prize sent to. That is very important. Please input the OX address that you want the TD tokens on Avalanche C chain sent to, because that is the address they will be sent to. Raffle is running for 80 days. We will be providing a list of addresses to Big Red periodically throughout that, and then they will deliver $25 worth of TD tokens to each of those winners at the time of distribution. So you don't have to be worried about, what the TD price chart does between winning and getting the tokens. It will be $25 at the time of sending. And I think that was... and all addresses must be submitted within 10 days of the final raffle. Obviously, we'll have more reminders throughout and all that good stuff. We're talking about a total of 90 days from now, so it'll be a little bit. But just so that y'all are aware, because that does work a little bit differently because the token is not on DFK Chain, which, real quick, shout out to especially Mr. Zipper, I think ended up building a lot of that system, and somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong and forgetting somebody. But it's a really cool system that allows us to do sponsored raffles for projects that are not on DFK Chain using tokens that are not on DFK Chain. So it's really cool to see this first implementation of that system go out. And then tomorrow their Visage will go live, and that one is it'll run for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, it'll run for 30 days. It will work very similar to the karate gi from Karate Combat, where when you purchase it, you will put in the address that you want the TD tokens sent to, which will also be sent on Avalanche C Chain. When the Visage is over, we will then give them that list of addresses, and it is $15,000 worth of TD tokens at the time of distribution that will be evenly split amongst all Visage purchases. And I was gonna answer that question, but Zipper answered it in chat, but I'll throw it in there anyway. Why we ask for an address to be input is because some people just want a different option, and depending on what some people use different wallets for different chains, so we didn't want to collect addresses on DFK Chain and just say, well, you're getting it to this address on C Chain whether you like it or not. It's easier to just give people the option, and then we have something that we can export and yada yada yada. But passing over the drink
topic. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you were
You're
keep
fine.
going, I was going to just add on that one. Yeah, so this is meant to be like a catch-all process and overall flow. Right now, it's like, oh man, if I'm just using MetaMask, it's the same on C-Chain. That seems like extra steps, but what we need to do is every time there's going to be delivery of token, we're going to be using this to like provide a list to the sponsor and for them to deliver it. We're not holding their tokens, we're not custodying them. So for our first one, it's on C Chain. You could argue it's the same token. Those using holiday wallets may not want it use their holiday wallets on C Chain. Maybe they'll use MetaMask or others. But think about other chains as well, like Polygon or maybe even like Solana or something. Like what if we worked with SMEC, which we're not. I'm just using it as an example, and they use the Phantom wallet. Or with Karate Combat, that's a great example of what we already did, at least on the Visage side. Sometimes the wallet you're playing with, even if it's not your preference, the tokens that you're getting, we tried to design this to remove the barriers to entry so we could pretty much invite any sponsor in the space to pay you as players to either celebrate their IP and support them on the Visage side, or get various rewards for essentially being advertised to as you load up your hunt. And so this one process is meant to be one that kind of like one process to rule them all kind of a thing. If it was like every time we got a new token, we had to do a manual build to support the operational delivery of that token, it would have been problematic. So it does seem like maybe an extra step or two, but it's meant to reduce the manual like tail events for either users or tokens or things in the future. So thanks for kind of supporting it. Hopefully that background helps make sense. I think it was a really elegant solution to allow anybody to pretty much say, hey, I want to sponsor it. I'm not, I don't want to bridge over to DFK Chain, or if we do, then you have to provide a pool, this, that, or the other. So that's like extra build and extra time and resources. Instead, we pretty much say, as long as there's a wallet for you as the other project to manually deliver every X amount of time, we'll work with you to query the wallets and the amounts, but you got to operationally deliver it. It's a good like partnership model and flow to allow us to work with most people, if not anybody in the space. And for those that don't have tokens, they're going to have the option to say, hey, we want to advertise in DeFi Kingdoms. Again, they're not paying the development team the majority of that. We're currently not even charging fees to do this, and we're spending resources to support it. Maybe one day that might change, but it's really meant to pay all you guys. So somebody could come in and say, hey, we want to advertise. We don't have a token, or we don't want to deliver our token. They could do kind of what the community is doing and buy DFK assets and choose to deliver those as well. So really cool feature. I'm excited about it. This is the first iteration. Maybe we'll run into things that are better to make it an improved experience. But for now, we feel like it's a great starting point. So if there are ideas around that, keeping in mind, we're trying to have it be like a catch-all so that we don't have to slow things down every time we get a new sponsor. That would be really great to get feedback on how we can make it better while keeping that like overall big vision in mind.
I just wanted to give a shout out really quickly to the Big Red team, who's been putting together a ton of graphics. You guys saw that partnership announcement, and they've been doing a lot with their giant red bear in the kingdoms and the realms, which is awesome. So I hope you guys appreciate that. And a shout out to Dreamer too for these sponsorships. I mean, they've been awesome coming in, and Dr. Zipper, who put together the program so that we can get sponsors, and Hubert, I believe, who wrote the contracts for everything, so that, you know, basically any coin on any chain or any sponsorship can come in and you guys can take advantage of them in the hunts and with sponsored visages as well. So huge shout out to that, and make sure to share your fights with these visages, because it's fun to see the void hunts going on with all the different, you know, combinations of visages now and all the different hero classes. It's just super cool to see. I love when you guys share those things on the live streams on YouTube and on Twitter as well. So make sure to keep that content coming. And it's just great to have these sponsorships and see the DFK logos and branding everywhere. So great job, guys.
Yeah, this is just a big leap forward in our ability to really create that, you know, Ready Player One environment where we're really giving an easy way for people anywhere to come in and reward our players, reward you all, and give exposure to their products. So love how we're doing this. It's really fun to sell to partners. If there's people or projects or meme coins or anybody out there, you're like, man, we need to get these guys into our community, into the game. Reach out. Let's make it happen. And I mean, I love having more bear heads in the game. I mean, that's just the coolest thing ever.
So I commented on the operational side. On the excitement side, guys, this is $25,000 going to players. That's big, and there was going to be a lot of variability in that. And they really opted to say, hey, we'd rather just stick to the 25,000. And I think that's unique. You know, with what we did with Karate Combat, it was like a fixed number of tokens, and we saw that the value of those tokens kind of go, I think both times they went up. But they did move. It would be unfortunate if we started a month-long promotion and then we're like, it's going to be valued, you know, expected to be valued at like 10,000, then it goes to like 2,000 or something. So it's cool that it's a kind of a more of a fixed dollar amount at delivery for a lot of this. And it's a big fat number. This is going to allow other people to come in and they say, okay, cool. How much do people usually give? Now we have a big number from Karate Combat. We have a big number from Klaytn. We have a big number from a new upcoming meme community token. This is good for all of us. So big win. I hope we're all happy about it. As much as people are happy if they could celebrate it on Twitter in any way, whether it's your visage or winning a hunt or just the overall concept of innovating advertising in Web3 gaming, we'd really appreciate it.
Most definitely. All right, let's get into some questions. So I mentioned earlier we had a couple that we had backlogged for Hubert, but we're going to hit Workhorse with him because he's here now. Haha. Thanks for showing up, Workhorse. This is what happens. You get punished. But very glad to have you here. First question. It has been mentioned many times that cosmetics won't play into any stats or have any effect on combat. At one point, there had been a list of combat keywords that included Sanjo hair, which actually only worked for enemies with Sanjo hair, like monsters, PvE creatures with Sanjo hair. Thoughts on Sanjo hair and cosmetic utility in combat in general?
Real answer: Sanjo hair isn't real. That was a joke. That was a meme to address a meme that I love in the community, because it makes me laugh every time. However, unreal answer, not real answer. You never know. You never know. But real answer, you do know it's a joke.
You never know, but you do. One more for you. Will there be randomness to the type of enemies that you encounter in scrub fights when scrub fights come into existence?
That is a yes and a no. Hubert, upon his return, like Gandalf from the West, will get more into this. But really, there are going to be a lot of different monster types that will be accessible for fights. Some of which will be pulled from a pool. Some will be teams that are like pre-made compositions. The objective is to make scrub fights be somewhat predictable within, sort of like you kind of know what you get yourself into, but also have a variety enough that it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. So the answer is yes and no. And I have an extra thing because I'm now realizing this is the last question for me. And so I'm actually gonna turn my camera on. Maddie Pesk, I saw 2 streams where you were like, hey, Workhorse better be on the AMA because I'm gonna blast them with AMA questions, and I'm here, and you didn't blast any questions. Thank you. Threat complete.
Shade thrown.
You are correct. I just even double checked to make sure you didn't slip them in at the last minute, and Maddie Pesk did not submit any AMA questions. So public shaming of Maddie Pesk has commenced. Good news, he already has a public apology video that he's already put out, so he can just reuse that same public apology video. Oh, he's claiming that work got in the way. Okay, sure.
So you're saying work got in the way of work. I get it. I see it. Okay.
Let's see. On a different note, when the Coliseum goes live on Metis, do we have plans to release a new set of Gen0s or a new pair of Gen0s?
Oh, hi, it's me. So yeah, I mean, generally we have been releasing new Gen0, new class pairs with new realms. Technically, Metis won't be a full realm. It's a PvP experience that's specific to Metis. So as of right now, we don't have plans to add classes there. Not to say that it couldn't happen. All of our classes so far have come from new realms, and I think the plan is still that as we develop new realms, that we would add additional classes at that time. But yeah, I guess that's my answer on that one. Dreamer.
Tag team this one with you too. We have limited ammo with these kind of things. Gen0s are big. They're a big thing. They change a lot for the overall experience. And one thing is, the Coliseum is a huge feature in and of itself, and everything that comes with it. We're cooking up a lot of cool things. It's not only going to be good for those playing. We're thinking of the entire experience of how successful games work and how we can really maximize the technology in Web3 and blockchain, considering play to earn, considering as people are, participating from like a viewer perspective, hopefully attracting like streaming and the whole concept of, and I know this is a cringe word for many hardcore gamers, but like esports, new classes are not really a part of that immediate goal. Those are a part of full realms. And even when we did a relaunch of Serendil 2.0 and Klaytn, we did release new classes because it was a relaunch of the realm. And we saw how those were kind of catered to our partnership there and our focus in terms of the themes. So we could release some pretty cool classes, I'm sure, at any moment, given any excuse, and that would be fun. But it kind of weakens future opportunities for full realms and other things, and takes away a little bit with the primary goal to create a really awesome PvP experience. The last piece of that is, today we've talked about Seer. Seer is the 5th class of many to go have their codexes go live. I don't think at this point dedicating so many resources to what that would do to the overall hero economy and how to support it. It's a little premature right now. We need to backfill a lot of utility in the hero classes we have. If we had gotten funding for another realm, and that was the priority right now, and that's what the focus would be in, then obviously we would include it, even though it does feel a little premature for the combat focus of heroes. But it's not that we're trying to shortchange anybody. It's just if we were to do classes, it would be a deviation of our long-term vision, but it also would include just another class to get to when we already have so many to get to in terms of PvE and PvP based combat.
Hey, I want to hop in here too. But yeah, I totally agree with all that. Also, just want to say, you know, like this is the first time we've ever done anything like this, like what we're doing with PvP. It's really cool. It's exciting. It's a thing that's going to directly impact all of our existing realms and be able to be exposed directly to all of the existing realms in a very unique way that we don't see with a separate realm. It's sort of like a different thing entirely. And so really it has a lot of interesting and like unique things that come about from that that are really, really cool. So for sure it's kind of like apples and oranges, but I'm super stoked about just everything it's going to bring into the ecosystem. And yeah, I'm excited about that.
Very nice, very nice. I appreciate all of you. I am gonna need y'all to stop teasing stuff in chat where I can't mute you. I have control up here. I don't.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I can't help it, Bolon.
This
I
was
heard
actually
I
an
heard
elaborate
new Sam
ruse.
music. I heard new Sam music, and now I can't get it out of my
Oh,
head.
it's so good too. Oh, they don't even know what they're missing. Also, this was actually an elaborate ruse to make you talk because now I have a question for you. Fall for it every time.
Dang
you know? Thoughts on having the community be involved in the earlier balance testing of new classes, as well as potentially PvP classes or PvP combat, not classes. Sorry, you know what I meant.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Bolin. Good question. Great question. It's an idea that we've floated quite a few times. I guess technically these are kind of two different questions because one of them is about balance testing and one of them is about PvP testing. I think with balance testing, we do like to keep that a little bit smaller scope, just so we have less voices in the fray of kind of determining where a class should go. So I think we've had some pretty good success having sort of a smaller testing team there and making sure that our feedback is very focused. So that's been going really well. Not to say that we would never do that, but I think at least for the beginnings of balance testing, it we'll probably prefer to keep that as internal as we can, just to make sure that we're really have the folks that understand it the best and or have been doing it the most. As far as PvP testing goes, that is one that we've been having a lot more discussions about lately, about what that could look like if we did open that up. In that case, it's definitely great to get additional feedback and to get as wide a feedback as possible. So it's definitely something that we're talking about. We don't have any hard plans on that side of things yet. But I think, I think eventually we'll probably be having further discussions about that and figuring out maybe a process that would work and make sure that we are getting the best feedback possible and making the best game possible. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is also kind of, void hunts to an extent. Like obviously there's rewards and everything, but you all have seen us make balance changes based on what heroes are doing in void hunts from all of you playing them. So it's kind of a rounds of testing system in my mind, at least.
Yeah, this whole thing is under development, right? If we go back a month or 2 months, a year or two, what we plan, what we release, the feedback we get, the market that we have. I mean, sometimes the freaking world balance tests us, and things happen on various chains and bridges and other things that we need to adjust. So finding ways that we can expand that, especially as we get into different phases where it's appropriate. We're all kind of founders here. We're all testers, and we're all contributing to the overall progression. So being open to different levels of that for different goals as we get to different parts of like phases of development is what we're focused on. Just finding the right balance of that, of what ultimately is best for the project. If everybody had eyes on everything that was being discussed and everything, I'm sure it'd be fun for every individual, but maybe not the best for like DeFi Kingdoms as a whole. But there is a middle ground there, especially on the balance testing side, that ultimately helps the output, the speed, and the quality of the end product.
Most definitely. Speaking of Gen0s that we were talking about a minute ago, it, sorry, I just forgot how to speak. Do we currently have plans to add additional incentives to holding Gen0s? I'm going to give a little bit of a two-part answer to this, or two-sided answer to this. Gen0s are something that we think about in the design of every feature that we make. And we look at if there is a logical and natural way for Gen0s to have, some kind of benefit or incentive or whatever the case may be. When you look at something like Perilous Journey, Gen0s were the only heroes that could go on the perilous journey and were guaranteed to survive because they're Gen0s. When you look at something like, profession questing, your hero goes out fishing. It being a Gen0 doesn't really have any impact on how it fishes. So with every feature that we develop, we do look specifically at, classes, generations, and especially Gen0s, because they are, the original heroes. They are a special pool, so to speak. So with some of the stuff that we have on our roadmap and with some of our upcoming features, we do think that there are ways that, the Gen0 could naturally stand out and have some kind of benefit. We are not at a point to be able to speak to those currently, but it is something that with every feature we develop, we keep in mind and evaluate as part of the design process of that feature. Anything anybody wants to add to that before I move on?
You were very vague, and I'm probably will get in trouble if I add my comments. But so this comment really has come from Flu a number of times in like a really healthy way. We have so many different assets in the game, and as we do zoom out a little bit, at certain times somebody might be like, "Oh man, Seer doesn't do anything," and now that's changed. Um, we have plans for a lot of things. Gen0s can do everything in the game that all other heroes can do, plus have unlimited amount of summoning. Gatekeepers of the whole supply. They already have so much, but we put so much value and emphasis on that, and the fact that they're limited. They're very limited. So there will be opportunities, as Bolon mentioned, in the extended roadmap. You may argue there have been opportunities in the past, but none of them have really felt like they fit well. Recent discussions have revealed a really good fit for that. It's not going to be like earth shattering, but at least it would, for this new feature, include, similar to Perilous Journey, include something that's like, ooh, now another added benefit for Gen0s. Now, when I say the roadmap, we're looking out a year plus. I don't think there's like something that's going to be released in the next month or something, because we have a lot of top priorities that we know what that are going on. But just know that we do think that this is good feedback that we've heard. We try not to force anything that doesn't really make sense, but it's a good comment of long term, finding unique ways for Gen0s to have like rare utility or enhanced utility from like a normal hero. It does make sense, and the final like foundational build of the game should have multiple like observations of that, and just kind of wanting to report without giving too much that more recently I think there's something more in the midterm that we feel comfortable with, and more to come.
I hovered the mute button the whole time, but you didn't say anything that caused trouble. Now, appreciate you getting a little more specific with it. I think that was good. But yeah, something that we're always keeping in mind for sure. All right, one last question, and then as a surprise twist of today's AMA, we actually have two special guests that will be joining us on stage. But one last question first. Beetle Dude, I think this would particularly apply to yourself. Could there be, and would it be difficult for there to be smaller modifications to existing PvE content for limited time events. For example, all of the boars get treated as if they are wearing a Chargers mask for a 2-week period. Maybe the rewards get mixed up a little bit, or the reward rates get mixed up a little bit during that window, but just something to kind of mix up the experience based on what we already have out.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's not something that we've talked too much about, though. We have had special type events in the past. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed the Halloween boars, as they were over Halloween last year. So yeah, I think there are opportunities for that. If it's mostly just numbers being shifted around, then that's not too crazy. But I think it would just be something where we would need to find a good fit, and also just the time to do it. So right now, obviously, we're super focused on PvP stuff and just progressing as much as we can on that and the classes as well. So I guess it's just another opportunity cost of what we think is most important to work on. But I know that would be like 100%. We will be having updates like that in the future as we get more progressed on other things. I think that's a great idea, and we'll have to have some discussions on it.
Appreciate you, Beetle Dude. All right. We are going
Could
to
I add to it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Mainly as a joke too, because I got added to a bingo card and my spot was Dreamer doesn't join the AMA, so I'm trying to comment on everything so I get a cooler bingo spot. Let that echo through the Twitter sphere. No, but I as we think about this, oftentimes we say like, hey, when we get closer to like the full build of the game, Hubert always interrupts whoever says that and says, hey, like the foundation of the game would be built, but there's so much content to add on top of that. And a lot of these features are new and in progress. Some of them are near completion in the future themselves, but there's always a plan of iteration of. And this is a really great comment because we could change as Beetle mentioned, some of the numbers around the bosses. We could change the drops. We could change what gate keeps us to enter those. It could be around a holiday. It could be around a collaboration. It could be around anything else related to communities or the future of guilds or anything like that. So I think these are good questions to think about. The caveat is, if we spend a lot of time on doing different versions of what we already have, the opportunity cost that Beetle mentioned is we can't do the new stuff that's a part of the foundational build. The less of a foundation we have, the less of these like iterations and fun things. So the hard decisions that we make in our committees and on the board and everything, it's really trying to find that balance of what is best for DeFi Kingdoms in the short, midterm, and long term. But if we just zoom out and go long term, this question is really easy to answer. Yeah, of course we're going to do different things like that. That's kind of how we get a maximum ROI from the assets that we have. When we do it and to what extent and in what order, that's the hard thing that we're kind of tasked with, and we're doing our best to find that middle ground. Sorry, back over to you, Bullon, and I'll shut up for the rest.
You don't even have to shut up for the rest. You can still participate. I just enjoy that. I feel like at this point you set out just to ruin people's bingo cards, and I appreciate that. All right.
Yep.
We are going to bring up our pair of special guests for the day. We have joining us today Three Wolves and Renpen, which, hang on, I gotta switch views so you can see Renpen. There we go. That's not the view I wanted. That is. Welcome, Three Wolves and Renpen. I hope that y'all have decided amongst yourselves who's going first so that I don't have to.
I don't think that's been decided yet.
Well, you spoke first, so you're up.
All right. So we will be sponsoring.
Oh, are we supposed to do that?
Oh, yeah. There she is. You want to go first?
Evidently not.
Okay.
No.
So the silly
I think I'm behind. I think I'm listening to the YouTube stream. I can't not listen into the StreamYard stream.
Oh, yeah, then you will be on a little bit of a delay. Okay, well, we're going to have Three Wolves kick it off, and then we'll flip over to you, Renpen.
All right, so there is an organization within Discord that is based off the DFK ecosystem called the Silly Axolotl DAO. Now, I can't get too much into what it is, but it is an elite-based group, and it's gated by owning a DFK Silly Axolotl. And what are we doing? Well, on 420, we are going to sponsor 5 raffles, 5 days of raffles for a total of 10 raffles. We'll be giving away 420 crystal to 10 lucky winners. And that's just the start of it. An anonymous Silly Axolotl DAO member is also going to donate to each winner. That's 10 different times. 1 Gen 1 5 of 5 and 2 Gen 1 10 of 10 heroes. And individual members are sponsoring other dates, and you may get some silly things in there like ragweed or 69 eggs. You never know. Your OX is published when you win, so you might just wake up to some weird stuff in your wallet.
And when is that raffle starting?
Well, the raffle of 420 crystal starts on 420, so that's going to be in 2 days.
I love it. That is awesome, and huge shout out to yourself and the Silly Axolotl DAO for putting this together. It'll be very exciting.
Yeah, although the Silly Axolotl is just fun and silly and purely cosmetic in the game, you know, we have this decentralized autonomous organization based off of it. So really, it just goes to show that you can do anything with this game.
Most definitely. And Renpen, what you got going on?
All right, testing. Are we on time now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I'm here on behalf of the Toonfed, who shall remain forever mysteriously voiceless, unless you come meet him at the Honkapalooza coming up one of these days. Anyway, starting this Saturday, 420, honk honk, Team Goose will be sponsoring the Void Hunt raffles. We're giving 13.37 honk to one lucky winner each day for 30 whole days. So that'll give you guys a chance to get in there. Hopefully the odds are in your favor, maybe. And then also just to throw in, since I got a chance to take the mic for a little while, hopefully it's not you guys' mistake. We've also got our first of several honk airdrops coming soon, where anybody who holds at least 42069 honk, that's 4.2069, not 420,000. Yeah, 42069 honk in your wallet, you'll receive an airdrop proportionate to how much honk you're holding. So if you win the hunts raffle and then keep holding your honk, you'll then be eligible to win the next drop and get more honk. And then another way to get even more honk is with our Quest for Honk program, where all you have to do is send in a hero or heroes to receive honk in exchange. And they usually try to match the approximate amount you would get in crystal from selling it in the tavern. So the benefit is you don't have to wait and hope that someday someone will buy it eventually. You just are guaranteed that honk by the end of the month. That's something really awesome that we've been doing for a little while. So if you guys want to get in on those benefits, pretty sweet. That would, yeah, once you get the honk for that, that makes you eligible for the airdrops, and it also makes you eligible for our wheel spin that we also do every Friday. Team Goose spins the magical wheel of names, and everybody who holds at least 42069 honk might win one of the 1010s that comes from the Team Goose Gen0s. So that's out there. There might be more trivia nights popping up in Team Goose soon, where you can win even more honk. Yeah, of course. Well, 69 with 420 too, so you know, it's you get all the magic there.
Could you help give some like gamer history 101 on 1337 for those that may not know like the elite reference there? Because that's a fun history that probably, you know, some either younger people or non-hardcore gamers may not understand.
I guess I'm not hardcore enough. It sounds familiar, but I don't actually know the lore of 1337 off the top of my head.
Oh, well, I might be wrong, but I think essentially like on a calculator, back in the day when you spell out like what 80085 or other things,
Oh yeah, I know that
1337
one.
is 1337, I think, is short for elite. Is that right, Bolon? Is my gamer history 101? Is that right? Elite short for, or elite short for elite, and that's what it spells out? Yeah, elite.
Yes.
All right. So it's not just random numbers there. It's all fun, numerology focused choices.
I see. Yeah, 3 is the magic number. If you ask Nikola Tesla, there's a lot going on there.
It's from back in the painful day where us old folks remember, where you had to press buttons multiple times to get different letters. It's a hard life. Awesome. No, that's super cool. Also, Second Best Dad is dropping some merch ideas in there in chat for a bumper sticker that says honk if you hold honk, which would be pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. Speaking of Second Best Dad, I'm going to use this opportunity to say, win Goose Vizzies. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
And SPD right now is happy that he's not on stage. No, greatly appreciate both of you. If my math is correct, that means that between Big Red, the Crystal Jackpot, Team Goose, and the Silly Axolotl DAO, here starting in a couple days, we will have 9 winners every day of something from the Void Hunt raffles, which is just super cool. It's super fun to see. We really appreciate, you know, community groups stepping up and wanting to sponsor hunt raffles, wanting to show up and be a part of the system. So it's really awesome. We greatly appreciate you guys. Anything you want to say before we go to last comments from the team, and then we'll have you two bullish us?
Hey, Bolon, real quick, could
Yeah.
you confirm for people, 9 people a day is a lot, and I do think that, again, we should just put an invitation to share those. If you win, try to share, either sharing in Discord for community, sharing on Twitter, sharing wherever you like. That helps us a lot. That helps the sponsors as well. They see more people celebrating each win. It helps us get more sponsorships as well. So you're not gloating, you're not making people feel bad, you're helping kind of the overall advertising focus. Secondly, question, can you win multiple times? If you win one, and can one person, one Void Hunt win multiple times? Or if you win one, should you not expect to win the remaining 8 potential?
You can win multiple times. So winning a raffle does not exclude you from the other drawings, even within that same raffle.
So for Big Red, I think there's 4 or 5 a day. Can one Void Hunt win multiple of those a day, or is it
Yes.
1 per? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure everybody understands that, so that you don't feel like if you win one that maybe is a lesser value, it's not like it precludes you. It removes you from winning others as well. So I think that's really exciting. Play as many Void Hunts as you can. Have fun with it. And that way, every time you win, know that there's no real downside there. You're not like missing out on others by doing so.
Yeah, no, that's a very good shout out for sure. Yes. Hypothetically, in some very, 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 very stretched odds, one Void Hunt win could win you all 9 raffles of that day. Unlikely at best, but it technically is possible. But no, that's a very good call out. Thank you, Dreamer. I appreciate it. Renpin, Three Wolves, any last comments? And then we'll go to last comments from the team and come back to you two to bullish us.
Nope.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there that we are talking about Honkapalooza. We are tentatively aiming for 2024. So the locations that we're throwing around, the top one right now is Crypto Meme's backyard. So if anyone has ever wanted to just go storm the guy's property and make his life a living hell, Honkapalooza 2024 will be the chance for you to do that. So get your honk.
You might have just figured out how to get me there, to be honest. You found
we all have our motivations, Bolon.
Exactly, I'm saying. Real quick from me, if you are watching this live or watching it later, please like, subscribe, share, depending on what platform you're on, whatever is applicable. But the more you support these videos, the easier it is for us to get them in front of others, which is always very helpful. So thank you all for tuning in. As always, thank you to everyone who has submitted questions, which this week does not include Maddie Pesk, but maybe next week it will. But you can submit your questions to talk.defykingdoms.com or in the AMA questions channel in our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, come hang out with us. It's a super fun place to be. You get to be a part of this beautiful community who is filled with the best people that I have seen anywhere in Web3 or gaming, and we're here for both. But that is it from me. Any last comments from anybody else on the team?
Goose Vizzy just dropped in voiceless. Go check it out.
Oh God!
What?
I was just gonna say honk.
Oh, that is something, SPD. Wow. All right. Three Wolves and Rinpin, I have a challenge for you. Try to bullish us simultaneously to wrap up this AMA. I'll count you down. Actually, I'm going to count you up to 3. So on 3, hit us with your best bullish. 1, 2, 3.
Bullish!
Oh, sorry, bullish.
I heard a honkish in there.
Bullish.
Honkish,
Bullish.
bullish,
Honkish.
all of the above.
Honk, 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 honk.
Bullish.
Honk that
Thank you,
bullish.
everyone, and we will see you next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion